Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here. I know my camera, I'm still not using headphones again. My new computer didn't come. It says that it came, but it didn't. So I guess I'm having to deal with that now. But I watched a movie because I had to get my mind off of a lot of stuff going on in my life right now, and I saw Absolute Deception. I know it's out of focus, sorry. But yeah, Absolute Deception. This film was from 2013, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, and it stars Cuba Gooding Jr., Emmanuel Valle, Everett McQueen, Ty Hungerford, and Kelly Atkinson. Now, in this film, a widowed reporter recruits the help of a federal agent to investigate her late husband's secrets, but the two become the target of unknown attackers. When FBI agent John Nelson's key informant Miles is abducted and shot, all that's left is a severed finger. In order to find a new lead, Nelson travels to New York City to inform widowed magazine reporter Rebecca Scott that her long-dead husband Miles had only recently been murdered to see if she had heard from him in recent years. Perplexed, Scott joins Agent Nelson in the wealthy enclave of Australia's Gold Coast to find out what really happened. The two soon discover Miles may have been part of an elaborate Ponzi scheme to bilk investors and eventual billionaire out of millions of dollars. As more layers of Miles' secret life are exposed, can the two stay ahead of the mysterious attackers who will stop at nothing to halt their investigation? So, what do I think of this film? Meh. It's okay. It's mostly okay due to the two main leads, because I actually do like both of these actors, and I think that they can kind of elevate movies that aren't that great, just their presence. So yeah, that's about all this movie has going for it, really. I'll get to that after I talk about the cast. Cuba Gooding Jr. is John Nelson, FBI agent. He's decent. I think this is one of his better performances from his direct-to-video days, because usually in the direct-to-video films he's been in, he plays kind of a, cold, calculating kind of character that's kind of boring for him, because he usually has a bit more... What's the term I'm looking for? I mean, his classic roles are roles where he's kind of got like a sense of humor to him, and in this film he does, and so does the second main character, who I think is really the star of the film, but we'll get to that. But yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. plays an alright character. I like him. This is still my least favorite of the Cuba Gooding Jr. direct-to-video films I've seen so far, and I've seen 3, I think. But yeah, he's alright in this. Emmanuel Valle, I knew I recognized this actress when I saw like the poster of the movie, and I was like, okay, maybe this will be an interesting one. She's been in 2 Uwe Boll films. She was in Mirrors 2. She was the female lead in that. She was in Saw 2. She was the girl with her arms in the razor blade trap. I think she was a hooker character. She was in Secondhand Lions, which is kind of a childhood movie for me. She wasn't like a big part, but she was in it. She was in... there was something else I saw her in. Well, yeah, she's been in 2 Uwe Boll films. She was in Far Cry and House of the Dead 2, which I haven't seen because I don't know, just... I might watch House of the Dead 1 from the clips I saw. It looked kind of interesting, but yeah, she's fun here. She plays a kind of upbeat, perky kind of character. She's, very animated, and I like that. It adds something to her character. She seems to have her own identity. And yeah, she's not like just there to tag along. She actually does some shit on her own, and I like that. Her and Cuba Gooding Jr. are 2 of the best things about this movie. Everett McQueen is Inspector Hendricks. It's an Australian reporter because they have to go to Australia. He's there. He's not terrible or great. He's kind of just there to push the plot along and be that character that's like, you're interfering in my investigation. Ty Hungerford is Archer. He's not in the film much. He's okay. And Kelly Atkinson is Bridget Archer. The newest wife of the guy who supposedly died. She's okay. But yeah, this film is... It's one of those direct-to-video movies that's kind of, it's just kind of bland. That's the biggest thing I can say for it, because I almost think that if a movie's like so terrible and like baffling that you can riff on it, it's more entertaining than something like this, which is kind of just... It takes an interesting premise. You have the premise of this woman thinks her husband died like 2 years ago. She's a reporter. She thinks he died in a car crash, and then it turns out like he actually died 3 days ago. She just didn't know where he was, and the funeral's all faked, and she wants to know who actually killed her husband and what's going on. It's an interesting setup, but I don't think the film follows through with it, like, at all. It feels like this film... It's listed as an action thriller. Again, another action thriller that has barely any action. There's an alright car chase. Brian Trenchard Smith, the director, if I've seen anything in the two films, this and Drive Hard, which I do think Drive Hard is better than this. I think I gave that an 8. That was a fun one. I don't know why I got so shit on. But he has this ability to take a low budget and like squeeze all that he can out of it. And shooting in Australia, it's a bit cheaper, so you've got that saved, and you can get decent actors. Like in Drive Hard, he had Thomas Jane and John Cusack, and I love Thomas Jane. I like John Cusack. In that film, he really showed that he knows how to do like friendly banter that's like fun to listen to, and it's not annoying. He knows how to make characters that are interesting. In this film, I think that's one of the best things about it. Again, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Emmanuelle Valle, whatever her name is, I like both of them as actors, and I think they work together well in this. They have this nice banter, they go back and forth, and it comes off like they actually enjoy being in the situation with each other. And again, I got off topic. The action, there isn't really that much. There's a shootout at the beginning that's kind of meh. There's a car chase between Emmanuelle's character and one of these like goons. It's decently filmed, decently well done. Brian Trenchard Smith did show in Drive Hard that he knows how to film a car chase, because Drive Hard was basically, the entire movie was basically just one big long car chase, which actually worked in its favor given the lower budget. The fact that it was kind of like it had moments of shootouts which were well done, and this, I don't know what happened here though. Let me see when Drive Hard came out. Drive Hard came out the next year. Okay, yeah, Drive Hard's definitely better than this for me. I actually had fun watching it. This film has an issue with CGI, that's for sure. This film's budget, some places say $2 million, some places say $5 million. I'm guessing it's more $5 million. If it is $5 million, there are some really bad shots in this movie. There's a shot, I'm gonna show at like the beginning of the review if I can, of a boat exploding that looks really fucking bad. Like, there's CGI blood near the end in that last action scene, which is nothing to write home about. It's very bland, very... I wouldn't mind it so much if they just, like, used squibs. If you don't have the budget for decent-looking CGI blood, use squibs. Squibs are cheaper. Yeah, you have to if you mess up a scene with squibs, you have to reshoot it. You have to reshoot a lot of shit already. At least put the money in for this film where it counts. A film I think did better with a lower budget, kind of a similar situation as Art of War 2, Betrayal, with Wesley Snipes and Athena Karkanis. For most of that movie, the fight choreography actually, like, there wasn't so much attention towards the CGI blood. The only moment I think I mentioned in the review where it really stood out was the scene where a guy falls down a wall and the CGI blood actually bleeds over his person, and it looks really bad. It looks like they forgot to, cut out his character and, like, put the blood behind him, and it really does come off as quite cheap in that scene. But for the most part in that film, I enjoyed it for, Wesley Snipes was still giving a pretty fun performance. It seemed like he was having fun. I liked the, like, gadgets and all that. I thought the film went by at a decent pace. I thought the first one didn't really have that same pace. While the first one did have some better acting, the second film, I still think Athena Karkanis was still good, and Wesley Snipes as well. But in this film, I think Drive Hard fixed a lot of the issues I have with this film. In Drive Hard, yes, there are still some bad CGI effects. There's some bad explosion effects, bad fire effects. I don't think I noticed any terrible blood effects, though. For the most part, they didn't bother me. But in Drive Hard, I cared more about the characters. I thought they were more interesting. While here, again, the main characters of this film, I think, are well done. I wish they were in a better film, because Cuba Gooding Jr. and Emmanuel Valier are two good actors. And I'm not going to say, like, oh, Cuba did it for the paycheck. I hate when people say that. It's alright to have your own opinions, but saying that every movie that you don't like someone in that's a good actor is a paycheck movie, I think that's a really shitty way of saying, oh, they did their job. Like, even if it is what they call a paycheck movie, actors have to act in films, and they have to keep being in films in order to stay in SAG. So, stop complaining, please. But yeah, like, I'm curious to see this director's other movies. He did a film called Dead End Drive-In that I think has an Arrow release. I've never seen it. It looks kind of fun. He did Night of the Demons 2, which I never saw the first Night of the Demons. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about this movie. It's kind of just your normal, typical, kind of meh conspiracy plot. The ending wasn't that... The twist at the end wasn't that surprising or anything. It's just kind of like, wow, I saw that coming. And I don't do that with a lot of movies. I don't try to, like, think ahead just to spoil myself. I don't, because I think that is kind of nullifying what the directors are trying to do. Oh, excuse me. But in this case, I was like, okay, this has happened multiple times, it's gonna happen again, and yeah, it did. I'm not gonna reveal that. I mean, if you choose to watch this movie, watch it. Don't come back and act like I didn't tell you that I wasn't huge on it. Like, I didn't feel like I was, like, suffering through it or anything. That's why I can't really give it lower than a 6, because the main actors, again, they make the movie. I don't think any great performances could have saved the script or this kind of feels like a pointless movie a little bit. And I hate to say it like that. I know that sounds kind of bitchy of me. But what I mean is, like, it feels like a movie that was just made to be made. While, like, Endgame was actually, like, interesting, it had an interesting conspiracy plot about the White House and all that. And Cuba Gooding Jr.'s other direct-to-video film I saw, what is it called? The Hit List. The Hit List with him and Cole Hauser. Which I do like that film. I think it is a good film. And it actually does have some pretty decent action sequences because of the director of that film. I can never think of his name. William Kaufman, who directed Daylight's End, The Marine Force, Sinners and Saints, The Brave, which I really liked, One in the Chamber. But yeah, I want to see more of that director's films. But yeah, in this instance, I just think that the film story is kind of pointless. It does feel a bit, there, just to have a film, and it doesn't make me mad. Again, I'm more indifferent to it. I just wish these actors were just in a better film. But yeah, guess I'll go to the pros and cons. The pros, again, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Emmanuel Valle play very fun. They play fun characters, and I like some of their banter. The pace, while not super fast, wasn't like so slow that it bored me to tears or anything. Cons, again, story wasn't that great. The writing wasn't fantastic. I wish there were better action scenes for the most part. Other than the car chase was decently well done. There's some really bad CGI bits. Again, I'll show the boat explosion at the beginning of the review if I can. And the frickin'... yeah, the CGI blood near the end looked really bad. But yeah, and the music, the score was pretty bland. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if you have a vague curiosity and just want to see Cuba Gooding Jr. and Emmanuel Valle, I mean, be my guest. Again, I thought it was okay, at best. Without them, it wouldn't be okay, but yeah. Hope y'all enjoyed the review. Sorry for all the loud noise. I know I'm using the camera's microphone because my headset ain't working right. But yeah, comment down below, like video, subscribe, whatever, and Movie Reviewer Next Door out.